Hey guys, I am live tonight. This time I got on without a glitch. So good news. Um, so today there is a great topic that I'm anxious to talk about. I'm just going to put a comment in here though. Let's see, in the post, I'm just going to put in here what my topic is about today. Just so that people can see this and know what we're talking about. So today, so for people that hop on after we've started, which is after now, but today the topic is about the fourth habit that we talk about in the book. The fourth habit, which is building rather than leveraging relationships. I gotta say, this is kind of a tough one for me too, personally. And so I'm glad to talk about it. I actually learned quite a few things from this chapter of the book that were really helpful to me as well. And I'll share a little bit about that in a little while. But right now, I want to just take just a second to see if something works here. I'm really curious because I have a little interactive poll in the site, and I'm hoping that this shows up for you. I would love for you to let me know if there is a book that you would like to discuss next time. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do this again, and I've gotten some really great feedback about this being really helpful for some women, but I would love to hear your ideas about a book. So I've got two different books in the poll in there, and which are Rachel Hollis' book, Girl, Wash Your Face. She has another book too called Girl, Stop Apologizing. I had to put myself through school on that one also. And then the third book, I mentioned this last time, is a book by Brendon Burchard called High Performance Habits. Now that is a hefty book, but I would love to go through that with some people here online. So that's just a thought that I have there. Girl, wash your face. Girl, stop apologizing. Or Brendon Burchard's book, High Performance Habits. So let me know if you'd like to dig deeper into one of those books with me. I would love to do that. So if you haven't joined me before, or if I'm new to you, my name is Princella Stringer, and if you're joining me live right now, I'm so excited that you're joining me and finding this topic interesting, which is a book discussion on the book written by Sally Helgensen and Marshall Goldsmith called How Women Rise, and the 12 habits that hold you back from getting the raise, getting the promotion, or getting the job that you really want to go after. And I picked this book because I thought that there were some really, really good points in there on some things that I personally needed to work on, that I know that other women in my circle needed to work on. And I think it's just a good discussion. They're good talking points on how this fits in your circle, how it fits in my circle, and maybe how we can learn to support each other in the work environment, lifting each other up a little bit stronger, and how we work with our peers and our boss and other people that we work for. So again, let me go back to my introduction. My name is Princella Stringer, and I consider myself an empowerment coach. Why do I consider myself an empowerment coach? Because I love supporting women on their journey, and it hasn't always been an easy thing for me to support other women because there were always some things going on where the relationships really didn't mesh well. I found out it was more about me than it was about them, and so I started looking at it as a really important life mission to connect with other women and support them on their journey. And so that's why I do what I do here today, because my purpose for any videos that I create is to empower women, to help them claim their power to live their best life. I went through this cycle myself where I had to step back. I had certain goals and ambitions I wanted to achieve, but then I found out that it was not that easy because I I lacked a little bit of self-confidence, and I was too concerned about people around me to really go after my goals. So I had to step back and kind of peel the layers on what my belief system was within myself. So it's become a mission for me to really educate and help empower others to live their best life. You can find me here on Facebook, of course. I have a business page and a personal page. I also have another page that's titled Coach for Single Moms. That's my story, young motherhood and single motherhood. That's a part of my story that led me down a path of going back to school, getting my master's degree, and seeking promotions at work. And so since that's a part of my history, I love supporting single moms and young moms as well. So I hope that they can pop on this as well and chime in on some things that they need support with as well. So you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and you can also find this video playlist on YouTube. You're welcome to leave comments either here on Facebook or on YouTube in these videos that you have on the habits. Actually, I would love to hear from you on the successes you've had, but I'd also love to hear about some differences that you have in anything that I'm sharing. Now, I'm sharing based off of the book, but I also incorporate some of my personal opinion and personal experience in this in the hopes that it helps to bring up a dialogue and conversation. So, hey, tell me, Princella, that is not right for me, that did not work for me. Share it and put the comments in there so we can get a dialogue and discussion going. That is the best way to get this rolling, to have the discussion. So because we want to tackle the biggest issues that women have with living authentically and living their best life personally and professionally. So the only way we can do that is by having the discussions and really supporting each other. So every Monday night, I'll be here at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch me here live. And I've also put a pinned note on the Facebook page that you need to, now, if you're here watching this with me, you probably have already done this, but to catch me live, I believe that you need to go in the page, my business page, Princella Stringer Coaching, like the page, look for the events, say that you're going, and then there's an option there so that you can add it to your calendar. And when you check all those boxes, like the page, say that you're going, then you'll get the notification. Then you can go into your notifications, click that notification, and if you had that going for you right now, you'd be able to pop in right now and join me live. So, all right, so if you're here catching the replay, please put a notation in there, hashtag replay. If you're joining me live, please put a comment, hashtag live, just so that I know where and when you popped on. Okay. I also want to say that if this is the first video that you're watching that I have done, stay with me. I know I mentioned that there's a playlist, but you can hang tight with me here and listen to what I'm going to share with you here based off of the book, because each video I try to make it so that you can just hop right on and listen to the content I have to share, and then you can go back and watch the other videos later. Let's see. So as I had mentioned, the book is called How Women Rise and the 12 Habits That Hold Women Back from Achieving the goals that they have at their job. So be it the pay raise, promotion, or a job that they're seeking. What are the things that hold them back from achieving those things? Let's see, I'm looking at my notes here on the computer so that I don't forget to say everything I want to say. Okay, so habit number 4 is all about building relationships rather than leveraging relationships. This is what Sally Helgensen and Marshall Goldsmith is saying holds women back from achieving the goals that they have, from getting the promotion, getting the job, getting the pay raise. Who would have thought? I mean, seriously, that building relationships holds you back from gaining the achievements that you want to achieve. That kind of surprised me. So I was really curious to read this chapter to find out what are they talking about. I totally resonated with this, and I think that you are going to absolutely resonate with this as well. And so I'm going to share some things that I read in the book, and I'll interject some of my own opinion in this as well, and my own experience. So I want to start off by sharing something in the book in the beginning. I have my little note here to read page 96 through 97. Now, if you have the book, I'm going to read right from the book, starting on page 96, a little story here about an interaction that happened, an example that they have in the book. So if you have the book, great. If you don't, you do not need it at this point. But if you want to be able to reference it in the future, get the book, How Women Rise by Sally Helgensen and Marshall Goldsmith. If not, just join me here and I will share with you. All right. So the first story that I want to talk about here that they've noted here is an example that they give of this woman. Let me find my spot here. 1 second. All right. So what they found in this book, and the reason this is one of the habits, is because they found this to be true in several studies. And one example of that is in 2 recent global studies. Senior leaders ranked their female employees most highly on motivating and engaging others, building strong teams, and negotiating win-wins, empathetic listening, and building morale. All skills rooted in a talent for relationships. This is what Helgensen and Goldsmith are calling these skills. All these skills are rooted in a talent for relationships. Okay, so what they say here is that these findings also present a conundrum, given the consensus that many women have outstanding relationship skills, and given that organizations increasingly view the capacity to build strong relationships as a vital leadership skill, the question is, well then, why don't women benefit from this strength? Why and how has this been found to be a habit that holds women back? So obviously we're going to talk about that right now. So why hasn't it propelled them to even higher levels in their organization? Why, when it comes to achieving top positions, do many women who are great at building relationships fail to rise? Now, obviously, I don't think I need to tell you that this is not a habit that holds all women back. Some women are really good at leveraging relationships and building relationships at the same time and leveraging relationships. Now, the part of me that is a relationship person, I want to say that we can do both. That's what I want to say. I don't know. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Do you believe, put a note in the comments, do you believe that women can leverage relationships and build relationships simultaneously at the same time? My heart says, yes, of course we can do both. Can we do both? What do you think? So in their experience, the author's experience, they say, over the years, we've noticed that while women are often stellar relationship builders, they tend to be less skilled at leveraging relationships, or maybe not exactly less skilled, but rather noticeably reluctant to do so. And as they note here, of course, this is not true of all women. We know many women who are superb at using leverage, subtle, magnetic, and strategic. These women are actively enjoying building connections that benefit not only their organization and a wide range of people, but also, and very empathetically, themselves. So yeah, to our point then, I think that Helgensen and Goldsmith believe that we can do both. I think we can do both. Let's see, the women actively enjoying building, I just read that, so I'm going to skip down to what I wanted to say next. But the problem is that they shrink at the prospect of engaging them in a way that furthers their own ambitions. So if it's about other people, we can do that. But when it's about leveraging our own ambitions and lifting ourselves up, many of us struggle with that. If this is something you don't struggle with, I would love to know. I'd love to see in the comments if this is something that you do not struggle with and that you are fully capable of being able to do. So yeah. All right. So moving on. Great. So moving on. So so here's the thing, is that in leveraging relationships, women feel as if the relationship part is more valuable to build up, to build the relationship itself versus leveraging the relationship. They feel as though people will feel used if they approach the relationship as a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of deal. And I know that I've been through that myself. You know, if I go to so-and-so and ask her to help me with this, am I using that person? What can I even offer them that's like a balance? If I can't think of something to balance out the playing field, then I will hold back from asking that of someone, especially if I feel like it's going to put them out. If I feel like it's going to put them out. So this is the thing, though, is that it is known that leveraging relationships is a key way for professional success. Many people get ahead in this way. They do. They get ahead in this way. They leverage relationships to, you know, have someone speak up for them, to vouch for them, to put in a good word for them. As testimonials, as face-to-face conversations. You know, they have that side conversation of putting in a good word for them so that they can be shown in a stronger light. And how does that feel to be able to do that? So why is this challenging for so many women? So I found for myself, hey, Jennifer, thanks for popping on. It's good to see you here. So what we're talking about right now is habit number 4, how women have a tendency to build relationships rather than leveraging relationships. I know that you're in a couple of businesses yourself where it's kind of hard. You know, we want to talk about building our relationships versus asking people to participate in something that we're selling, in a business that we're promoting and things like that. That's really challenging to do that. And so I'm glad that you popped on, and I'd love to get your tips on what you do to leverage relationships. So the other thing that I wanted to mention on why this is challenging for so many women. So number 1, we don't want to feel like we're using people, or we don't want someone to think we're using them. And maybe we have a lack of self-confidence. Who am I to go to them and say, you know, I need your support in XYZ? What are they going to think? Maybe the belief is in, maybe the lack of belief, rather, maybe in a woman's ability to follow through with their end of the bargain. Maybe they don't want to promise something that they're going to over-promise and under-deliver. So maybe they're not feeling so confident about being able to keep their end of the bargain. Obviously, we don't want to do a I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, and then not keep up with our end of the bargain. We want to hold our words with integrity, obviously, and integrity is very important to women. We value that very, very highly. And then also we may be asking, what would I even have to offer to them as back scratching? You know, what would I have to offer? So I have actually one personal example. This just happened to me recently. Perfect timing. That, you know, as I said, this is something that I've struggled with myself. And I received an email recently, and I think this kind of sums up a very easy way that answers all those questions. So if you're someone that like maybe lacks a little bit of self-confidence, or you don't really feel as confident as you want to feel in approaching someone and asking them for a favor. You know, I had someone email me, and she says, I put a note in here on what she said to me. I think this email is something that really sums up any concerns that a lot of women have and makes it kind of really easy. So lately I've been going to more socials here locally in my hometown of Benton Harbor, Michigan, and in going to those socials, my thought is I want to get to know people. I want to connect with others. Yes, I want to do some business interactions also, but really my heart is just to get to know women and find out what some of their struggles are in life and in business, and how can I maybe support them in this group. And so someone reached out to me and she said, she had a really warm, sincere, nice greeting. Hope you're doing well. Stay dry. It's really rainy outside. Just wanted to connect, give you my contact information, and let me know if there's anything I can help you with. I thought, gosh, this is a really thoughtful, sweet email. Basic introduction, just passing my information along, and very simply, let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Now, I really appreciated this email, and I thought, well, gosh, what would I say back, and how would I be able to help her? And then it dawned on me, just do what she did. Reply back. Oh, it's great to connect with you too. Yeah, by the way, would you like to XYZ? And I threw something out there. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. So it takes the pressure off of me saying, yeah, if you do this, I can do that for you. I don't need to think of that. I just need to suggest something that we can partner on, and then turn the tables on her and say, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything I can support you with? And that's a great way to kind of take that pressure off, and also really offer genuine, sincere help to someone else. And so I hope you'll use that. And if you've ever done that before, just something very simple like that, just to connect with someone, no pressure, just a nice casual conversation that's worked for you, and it's leveraged a relationship for you that's really supported you in either your business or in your workplace, share that information here also. But thank you, Jennifer, for sharing what we have going on here. I really appreciated that. Okay, so, all right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about are just the basics of leveraging, the basics of what leveraging a relationship is all about, leveraging a partnership, leveraging a connection. What is it all about? So leverage is a key career skill, a strategic way of operating that can pay outsized rewards. This is what they're saying in the book. Your successful leaders know how to employ it. They may be subtle or direct. So here are some of the basics. We have 4 basics here the book mentions. Leverage is always reciprocal. So if we have it stuck in our minds that that someone's going to feel like we're using them, or feel like they're going to feel like they're being used, it's a reciprocal relationship. It literally is scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of scenario. So you want to open the doors to, how can I help you? Fantastic. Thank you so much for helping me with this. Now, how can I help you? And when we do that and we leave that door open for reciprocity, then it's not a using of anyone. It is a sincere outreach of helping each other. There is nothing wrong with helping each other in our successes. As a matter of fact, this makes for a much healthier relationship and a healthier environment if it's at work, a healthier team environment when you're truly reaching out to help each other. Let's see. Leverage can be the basis of a relationship, or merely an aspect of the relationship that also has a personal dimension. The point is that both people involved understand they're using one another to improve their access to resources, broaden their professional connections, and create mutually beneficial opportunities. Now, it sounds negative, doesn't it? That we know that we're using each other. We don't have to look at it in a negative light. if you want to plug in the word, that we both know that we're helping each other. We both know that we're supporting each other. Same thing. We both know that we're using each other. We're utilizing our assets. We're utilizing our skill sets. We're utilizing our strengths. However you want to put it that makes it sound something that's agreeable to you, then that's the way you need to word it to yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be this term of using. It does come off kind of negative. So here's the thing about leveraging the relationship is the underlying belief is that that it's a rising tide to lift all boats. This is a rising tide to lift all boats. I think that's a fantastic way to look at it, that we're lifting each other up, not just rising one above the other. So the second basic of leverage is that leverage is used to achieve both tactical and strategic goals. Hi, Teresa. Thanks for joining. We are talking about habit number 4 that holds women back from achieving their goals, which is building relationships rather than leveraging relationships. So I'm talking about what are some of the benefits of leveraging relationships versus just looking at it as an interpersonal connection. There's more to relationships that really support each other and build a good foundation in relationships. So I'm talking about how leveraging a relationship is used to achieve both tactical and strategic goals. So all right, so I want to read straight here from the book. It has a really good point here that I think is really, really helpful. So you may initiate leverage when you make a request. Usually the request is small and specific. So you'll ask for something very, very specific, like, you know, I know someone that does art. Would you happen to know a restaurant that would be interested in allowing me to display the art at their restaurant? That might be something small and tactical. These are tactical favors in that they help you accomplish an immediate objective. Things that would be helpful to you this month, this week, this year, something immediate that we're really asking for, doing the ask for. Yet the most effective way is that a leverage is looked at a larger strategic purpose of engaging with those that might be useful to you in the future. Now, there are, I think if we're hopping on right now, if you're just listening to that part where we're talking about using a relationship for strategy, here's the thing, is that any relationship that you have in your life, be it personal or professional, you want these relationships to be positive and uplifting. And if we're in relationships that kind of bring us down or suck the energy out of us, this is not good, whether it's a personal or professional relationship anyhow. So if you're in a relationship with someone, it's more of an interpersonal relationship, honestly, you want to leverage that relationship in a positive light as well. You want to have relationships in your life that are uplifting and positive. If you have someone in your life that's constantly, literally using you, every time you go out to eat, they don't seem to have money you're paying. Every time you talk to that person about a problem, it gets twisted around to their problem. Maybe you have someone that's always asking you for money and says they'll pay you back and they don't. This is where true using in a relationship really has a negative consequence to you personally. This happens in professional lives too. So when we're talking about leveraging relationships, I really think we can look at this at a deeper level too. What does this relationship do for me, and what do I do for it? Is it reciprocal? And when we can look at relationships like that, we can identify boundaries that are really important to us, true boundaries that really help support each other. All right, so the third thing that I want to mention that is a basic about leveraging is that Leverage is highly intentional. When you're leveraging a relationship, it is highly intentional. And to be honest, when we're looking at our personal relationships too, we want to intentionally invite people in our circle, in our tight-knit circle, that are encouraging and uplifting and positive. Maybe we have a friend that kind of struggles with being positive and encouraging. And that's okay too, because every once in a while, we're going to need that person that kind of can stick with us when we're having a tough time with something. And we need some support. We need some positive interaction going to keep in a positive light. We need those types of friendships as well. So be intentional about who's in your circle of friends. Be intentional about who you go and talk to. And to the same point in the professional world, be intentional about the relationships that you build there as well. Is this a relationship that is going to uplift me and leverage me professionally? And so one extremely important notation to make here is that we're not building relationships with people that we could never have a positive relationship with. To put it the way they say it in the book, liking the person is not the primary point, right? It's not the primary point when we're talking about leveraging relationships, though it's never a good idea to seek a reciprocal relationship with someone that you dislike. So to another point to that also is that many times we dislike someone because of a misunderstanding or personality clash. And we need to really understand, is this a personality clash that we can work through, that is that we can turn around for the good and for the better? Or is this something that is just not going to change? You know, we need to be able to identify the difference. Maybe this person's integrity kind of goes against what your intention in life and how you want to live your life, and your intention of who you'll invite in your circle. And so that's a little bit of a different story. So there is a differentiating factor there on who you would be leveraging relationships with, personally and professionally. So, all right. So now the fourth basic in leveraging relationships, that leverage brings distinctive rewards. So I put myself a little note here to read this section here. And let's see, how long have we been on now? We've been on for about 30 minutes now, so I'm going to go through this quickly. Let's see. In friendship and simple colleague relations, the rewards are intrinsic, which means highly personal and subjective. For instance, you like how someone makes you feel. You enjoy his or her sense of humor. You're inspired or comforted after you talk to this person. This is more of a personal and subjective relationship. Now, in a leveraged relationship, the rewards are extrinsic, which means they are measurable and concrete. You gain access to a new group of potential clients or investors, possibly. You have an opportunity to enhance your reputation or visibility or learn a new skill. In establishing leverage, your purpose is always front and center. Your purpose is always front and center. This doesn't mean that you don't respect or enjoy spending time with the other person. That's really important here. You don't want to leverage a relationship with someone that you genuinely dislike. I hate to say that because there are hardly any people that I truly dislike. But if there is a relationship that is just not working, that is not the relationship that you want to try to leverage. It needs to be with someone that you can essentially work with and that you trust. So going on here with what the book says, the intrinsic rewards are a bonus instead of the point. So it's a beautiful thing to leverage a relationship that you find, hey, I genuinely like this person. I had this happen to me 2 times this week where I had to make a decision to part ways with someone that I had relationships with two different people I had relationships with. Both of them I genuinely care for and really like them as individuals. But one person in particular, we just literally had different core values. And we had to decide to separate on a professional level, decide that we were not going to intermingle our professional aspirations. And this was a tough choice for me because I really, really liked this individual. She really, really enjoys my company as well. We have great conversations, but we found that our core values do not line up as far as what we intend for our businesses. And sometimes that happens. So this person will remain a personal friend of mine, but I won't go to this person for external rewards. And that's okay. One of the things I love about that is that we were able to have a positive, uplifting discussion about why we should part ways and how we both felt the same way. And this happens, and the most important thing in these relationships is that we're able to have the adult conversation that it's just not working, and it's okay. So have you ever had to have this type of conversation with somebody? Hey, Debbie, I just noticed you popped on. It's good to have you here. But yeah, so we're talking about the basics of leveraging relationships. And right now I'm talking about how sometimes we have to have that conversation where there really is no extrinsic value. There's only intrinsic value, and that will remain a personal relationship versus a leveraged relationship to help us achieve the goals that we have. So, all right, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the example that I wanted to read on 103 and 104 of the book. If you have it, you can join me on 103 and 104, where I'm going to read an example here. This is a really, really great example talking about how those lines get crossed. So there was a woman in particular, and her story is that she used to work for a company, and she always really appreciated how that team that she worked for worked really well together. They built relationships on an intrinsic level and continued the relationships beyond her departure from the company. And so she found a new job, which she really likes the new place that she's at, but she had one of her peers come to her and say, hey, can you connect me with, can you introduce me with so-and-so at your previous employer, because they wanted to introduce their product line to them and possibly make a sale. Well, she didn't feel so comfortable with this. As a matter of fact, she said, these are her words, Kevin asked me to introduce him to a few of the senior people I knew so we could connect them with to tell them about some of our products. I was uncomfortable with this for several reasons. I consider these people personal friends, and I don't want them to feel hustled. Now, this is her interpretation of it. She does not want them to feel hustled. Now, she knows him as he's a real hotshot in sales and known to be pretty aggressive. Also, Kevin had never shown a shred of interest in her personally, and until he found out that she used to work at the hospital. He doesn't seem to care about me as a person, so why should I set him up? That was her question, right? So Amanda didn't want to come right out and say no, so she tried to avoid Kevin. How many times have we done this before? We don't want to face a conversation that we need to have, so we just kind of avoid the person. This was the approach that she decided to take. It never pans out the way you want it to when you're intentionally avoiding someone. So she was hoping he would get the message that I wasn't interested, but of course, being the aggressive salesperson that he is, he persisted. He continued to call and press me. Really, the way he kept at it was pretty shameless. This was her opinion. But the writers of the book say, perhaps so, but that's not a great reason for Amanda to spurn the opportunity to do a simple favor for one of her company's stars, someone who was on a strong trajectory pointed up. So this person is highly valued at her new company, and since he is highly valued and he is on a trajectory going upward in the company, it would have been to her benefit to leverage that relationship with him and leverage her personal relationships. Now, The book suggests if she had wanted to protect her friends at the hospital, she could have just asked them if they minded her providing the information. I thought that was a great suggestion. Why not? Maybe it would be a benefit to them as a company if they had heard about the products that they had. In that case, she may be holding her friends back from receiving something that would be a benefit to them. So if she had just simply asked, do they mind her providing the introduction? Or she could have told them to use their own judgment. Hey, I've provided your information to my peer at work, Kevin. He's going to be in touch with you about his project, his products that he's promoting. Use your own judgment. I thought you two would be great to connect, but use your own judgment if you want to continue working with him. So she could have told them to use their own judgment and to decide how they were going to respond when Kevin called. Leave it up to them. We don't need to make the decision for anyone on how to leverage relationships, right? So yet, even as she was putting her nose in the air about Kevin, Amanda was forging connections and twisting the arms on behalf of a shelter that she had been helping in the community. So in other words, she'd been actively involved in a shelter, and she had no qualms about convincing people to donate, convincing people to provide funds and money for the shelter that she was supporting. It was easier for her to ask for that because it was benefiting someone else. Now, we can look at this another way too. This may also be benefiting her as well, but she's twisting it in a way of helping the shelter. Now, we all know that when an individual is in pursuit of funds for the sake of other people, it's easier to say that she's supporting them. Really, it's putting herself on a pedestal as well. She's being the big person and reaching out to people to ask for funds and donations and things like that. So she had no problem leveraging relationships in that respect. But if it came to a direct implication for herself, uplifting herself and making herself look better at the company, that was something that she was not comfortable with doing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about the difference between leveraging relationships for your benefit at work or building relationships for intrinsic value versus a more leveraged strategic relationship. So have you ever were you ever in a position where you needed to provide information to someone else in a personal relationship that you had, and leveraging that relationship to get what you wanted? What was the outcome of that? Did it turn into a positive for you? Did something like this ever backfire on you and you wish you kind of handled it differently? So in the relationship, or in the example that I just gave, there were other ways that she could have introduced the individuals together in a way where she puts it on them to make the decision. Hey, I'm just making a connection here, and you decide what you want to do with this connection that I'm making. So a really important tip that I think that many women suffer with in this scenario is that they're really wondering, what is my value that I bring to the table? Does this person see me as a valuable relationship to have? And so I want to invite you to start believing that you are in the game as a valuable player. You are an active participant in this role, either in your professional life, in your business, or in your relationships that you're building outside of the professional environment. If you see this as a relationship that you can leverage, know that you bring a lot to the game as well. You are an active, viable participant in the game, and you have things that you can offer to someone else. If we look at leveraging relationship as an alliance, as a literal, you scratch mine, I'll scratch yours, and you find that common ground where you can really support each other, be confident in knowing that this is a good thing. Obviously, you're never going to want to do this with someone that you genuinely dislike, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about building working relationships that can really work to your benefit and to their benefit. So I want to invite you to start believing that you are a person, that people will perceive you as as a valuable relationship, that being in a relationship with you is advantageous. Just like your desire to want to be in a relationship with someone else that could leverage you or put you in a position to gain the things that you want. Maybe you want to be introduced to somebody at a company that you've always wanted to work for, you know, and if you have any self-doubt there that, am I capable? Will I shine? Will I be able to have the conversation and prove that I'm ready for this? And if you have any questions there, I want you to think back on, what do I bring to the table? What are my strengths? And what can I talk about to really leverage this relationship and have this be an equal partnership? And so when we're supporting each other, we're talking about raising the tide so that all boats rise. That's what leveraging relationships is all about. And so just want to remind you about that in this, as you're thinking about how you can leverage relationships that you currently have right now. What can you bring to the table? And just simply asking, what can I do for you? How can I help you in this situation? And that is when you're going to really know how advantageous it can be for that person as well as for yourself. So I'd love to hear stories about how this has worked for you in the past, and what you maybe have done differently in leveraging relationships. What is the language that you like to use in this situation? I mentioned earlier how using kind of sounds like an ugly term, and that's a negative thing, but how do you phrase it? How do you work relationships? How do you build partnerships that work so that both of you can benefit? So I want to remind you also to leave a comment here. And so if you're joining me on the replay, put hashtag replay. If you join me live, put hashtag live, just so I can easily see who's popped on. And like I said earlier, I would also love to hear any differences in opinion that you have. This is how we're going to really know what's happening for you and what kinds of ways that I can support you in. And more importantly, what kinds of ways you can support someone else that's watched this video later. What can you contribute to really helps guide women to feeling confident about leveraging relationships? So, all right, so I will see you next Monday, every Monday for quite a few weeks, because we have 12 habits to go through. We're only on habit number 4. So we have quite a ways to go. But let me know also, there is a poll that I put in here to ask. Oh, I see a publish now button, so I can ask you right now. What are the books that you would like, that you're considering reading in the future? If it's not listed here and you have a different book you're wanting to ask to do a book discussion on later, go ahead and plug it in the comments. But for right now, I put 3 different books. I was going to say 3. 3 different books in here. 2 of them are by Rachel Hollis. Highly recommended books of hers, which are Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. If any of those 2 books resonate with you, let me know. And then there's another book that I really want to sink my teeth into, which is Brenda Burchard's book, High Performance Habits. I think this is a great book with lots of juicy information in there that I haven't been able to get to yet. So I'd love to do that together as well. So if you have an opinion on one of these books to read next time in a book discussion, let me know. Okay, so anyway, join me next time, next Monday. If you're just jumping on, which I see, Sarah, you have joined, go back and watch it from the beginning. It will come back on this page here, so you can watch it from the beginning, or you can catch it on the playlist. You can also go to YouTube and search for Princella Stringer Coaching on YouTube, and you'll find the playlist there as well. So thanks so much for joining me. And I don't see any comments here that I need to comment back on. So have a great night, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.